From the moment I first stepped into Isabel's world, a world shimmering with polished perfection and unspoken expectations, I knew I was different. The carefully curated elegance, the effortless grace with which her family carried themselves, the way their words dripped with the quiet assurance of privilege, it was all foreign to me. And yet I loved her. I loved her with a fierceness that made me believe love alone could bridge the divide between our worlds. But love, as I would come to learn, was not always enough. The first time I shook hands with her parents, I felt it, a chill, an unspoken message hidden beneath their practiced smiles. Their eyes, cool and assessing, studied me not as a person, but as a puzzle piece that simply did not fit. Every polite word exchanged over carefully plated dinners, every dismissive glance cast in my direction, wove an unspoken truth into the fabric of my existence. I was not the man they had envisioned for their daughter. I was not affluent enough, not accomplished enough. I did not belong. Still, I endured. I told myself that in time, they would see me as more than an outsider. So I swallowed their quiet disapproval, masked my discomfort with smiles, and hoped, desperately, that love would prove stronger than their silent judgment. The weight of their expectations grew heavier when Sophia, Isabel's sister, announced her engagement to Ryan Stanford. His name alone carried the weight of prestige, spoken in hushed reverence at dinner tables and woven into conversations about legacy and success. As Sophia spoke of lavish celebrations and futures paved in luxury, a sinking sensation settled in my chest. I knew then, more than ever, that in this world of opulence, I was nothing more than an afterthought. At family gatherings, I became an invisible presence, a shadow drifting through corridors lined with laughter and extravagant discussions. Seated at grand dinner tables beneath glittering chandeliers, I searched for warmth, for kindness, for something that would make me feel like I belonged. But all I found were sidelong glances, hushed whispers, and the unbearable weight of words left unsaid, yet understood all the same. I was not enough. I spent countless hours trying to prove myself, offering help, inserting myself into conversations, laughing at jokes that weren't meant for me. But my efforts were met with empty reassurances and silence, as though I were an actor forced into a role that had already been cast for someone else, a role I could never truly make my own. And then came the wedding plans, a spectacle of grandeur beyond anything I had imagined. Every detail, from the opulent ballroom to the meticulously arranged floral displays, was orchestrated with unwavering precision by Eleanor, Isabel's mother. There was no space for my thoughts, no room for my input. I was not needed. I was not wanted. I was irrelevant. One evening, at yet another family dinner steeped in quiet condescension, Eleanor turned to me with a smile too sweet, too practiced. "Oh, and we'll need an extra donation from you for the reception," she said, her tone casual yet laced with unspoken demand. I turned to Isabel, hoping, begging, for her to say something, to defend me, to acknowledge that this was unfair. But she remained silent, her gaze fixed on her plate as she ate as if nothing had happened. Something inside me cracked. With trembling fingers, I reached into my pocket, pulled out my wallet, and retrieved my card, the very card I had worked tirelessly to earn. I placed it on the table with a quiet sigh. "Take whatever you need," I murmured. Eleanor's lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Good," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "At least you're useful for something." Laughter rang around me, the clinking of glasses and cheerful chatter continuing as though nothing had happened. But I felt as if I were drowning. In that moment, I understood with devastating clarity. I was not family. I was not a partner. I was an ATM, a resource to be withdrawn from whenever it suited them. And still, I held on. On the morning of the wedding reception, I dressed with painstaking care, smoothing out every crease in my perfectly tailored navy suit, polishing my shoes until they gleamed. I adjusted my tie in the mirror, practicing my smile, willing it to conceal the turmoil inside me. This time, I told myself they would see me. As Isabel and I stepped into the grand hall, the air hummed with celebration, but beneath the golden glow of chandeliers and the crisp notes of a string quartet, I sensed the same quiet disdain lingering just beneath the surface. Approaching the seating table, I reached for my name tag, my fingers unsteady as I unfolded it. The air left my lungs. Housekeeper. For a long moment, I simply stared. Surely this was a mistake. A cruel joke. The laughter around me swelled, every chuckle and murmur twisting into something sharper, something unbearable. And then Eleanor's voice, smooth and razor-sharp, sliced through the air. You always wanted a place in the family, didn't you? She said, her smile almost amused. Well, here's one that suits you. I turned to Isabel, my heart pounding, desperate for her to say something. To tell me this wasn't real, that this wasn't what she thought of me. She glanced at the name tag, bit her lip, and let out a soft, nervous laugh. It's just a joke, she whispered, nudging my arm lightly. Just a joke. But as I stood there, the weight of that small, simple card pressing into my palm, I realized the truth. It was never just a joke. The ground beneath me felt unsteady, as though every insult, every rejection, and every moment of humiliation had gathered into a tidal wave, crashing down all at once. I had endured too much, sacrificed too much. And for what? A place at a table where I was never truly welcome? Slowly, I reached up and peeled the name tag from my suit, my fingers closing around the crisp paper, crushing it in my palm. No more. No more silent endurance, no more pretending, no more sacrificing my dignity for the approval of those who had never seen me as anything more than a convenience. The celebration around me carried on, the air filled with the clinking of crystal glasses, the murmurs of wealth and legacy woven into every toast. Laughter and joy flowed effortlessly, as if my presence, or my pain, was of no consequence at all. And in that moment, I made a choice. I would not fight for a seat at their table any longer. I would not allow them to dictate my worth. Because I was worth more. I deserved more. With one last glance at the opulence surrounding me, I turned and walked away, leaving behind the spectacle of a wedding that had never truly included me. As I stepped beyond the grand hall, into the stillness of the night, a strange sensation washed over me, freedom. The cold air wrapped around me like an embrace, crisp and quiet, as if the universe itself had been waiting for me to take this step. Streetlights flickered against the damp pavement, illuminating an uncertain path ahead. But for the first time, that uncertainty did not scare me. With each step, the weight of humiliation, of neglect, of trying so desperately to belong, began to lift, replaced by something unfamiliar yet powerful. A slow, smoldering hope. The night whispered promises of new beginnings, and in that bittersweet solitude, I resolved to move forward, leaving behind the ghosts of a painful past. Every dismissive remark, every condescending glance, every moment of exclusion had led me to this inevitable realization. I had spent too long measuring my value against the impossible standards of a family that had only ever seen me as an outsider, an accessory, a means to an end. But now I saw the truth. I had never belonged in their world, not because I wasn't worthy, but because their world had never been worthy of me. I sank onto a cold, worn bench, staring into the endless night sky, its vast expanse speckled with indifferent stars. Memories of Isabel flooded my mind, warmer days, whispered secrets, love that had once felt boundless. I had believed so naively that love alone would be enough to